The MoneroTopia weekly news segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right, guys. So it's been a lot over the past couple weeks. I've been out of the loop a little bit, but there's been some interesting crypto news. So first in, this just happened a couple days ago. This is a post from Bitcoin Magazine on X. Justin, U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency issues order to count Bitcoin and crypto as an asset for a mortgage. So essentially now you are allowed to use your crypto holdings as essentially leverage for a mortgage. They're allowed to count that as money you have, which can be used to help you get a larger mortgage. Not actually using crypto to pay for your mortgage, but using it to as sort of collateral against being able to get a mortgage. So that is new. Not sure if I'd want to do that with my crypto. That's not really the point of it, but that is something you can do if you want to. Now you can, unless you want to keep your holdings private and then don't let them know what you have, of course. Next post is from MoneroTopia. Interesting report on how Intel broker got caught. According to the report, Kai West primarily used Monero. However, the use of Monero was not part of how he got caught. In fact, Monero's strong privacy features gave challenges to authorities. So, in January 2023, this was over 2.5 years ago, an FBI undercover agent convinced him to accept Bitcoin instead of Monero for a sale. Uh-oh, we can see where this is going. That Bitcoin payment was sent to a wallet, BTC Wallet-1, which was later traced to a wallet funded by another wallet, West Wallet 1, which was created via Ramp, a regulated exchange with KYC, registered to Kai Logan West with a UK driving license, which also tied to Coinbase, emails, and other personal identifiers. In other words, his mistake was deviating from Monero and accepting Bitcoin during at least one undercover operation. And this is what gave investigators the key link. So essentially, he was convinced to have a downgrade attack against him happen by being convinced to accept Bitcoin instead of Monero, which is very foolish of him. And it looks like that was kind of the main key in finding out who this guy was. It seemed like they didn't have much of a lead while he was accepting only Monero, but they were able to eventually trace and figure out who he was by convincing him to downgrade to accepting Bitcoin. So that is a severe case of Shum should have used Monero, and that just goes to show that they still can't really get past Monero that much. And instead, if they can, it's much more worth it for them to get you to accept something transparent, which they can ultimately trace if you then try to off-ramp that cryptocurrency. So his other mistake was even off-ramping it to begin with in such a poor way, but maybe he didn't know what he was doing ultimately. So yeah, interesting to see. Seems to always come out at some point that these cases of criminals being caught when using Monero, it turns out, well, it wasn't actually through Monero. It was through some other means. They need to get around Monero. Next up is a post by Brian Armstrong, the Coinbase guy. His post says, a Cypherpunks Manifesto by Eric Hughes. I did not read through this, but it looks like it very much talks about privacy. I'll just read the first paragraph here. Privacy is necessary for an open society in an electronic age. Privacy is not secrecy. A private matter is something one doesn't want the whole world to know, but a secret matter is something one doesn't want anyone to know. Privacy is the power to selectively reveal oneself to the world. Which, of course, plays into needing privacy for cryptocurrencies, which Brian Armstrong, yours truly, has not accepted or added Monero to Coinbase, which would be a very big platform for it to be on, but I don't think at this point we really care or we even really want Monero to be on Coinbase. All right, next up is a post by Carrie Sloan, and this is a video for RFK talking about wearable devices. The post reads, my vision that is every American is wearing a wearable electronic data collection device within 4 years, said RFK Jr. I'll go ahead and play this video.
Diet, about their physical activity, about the way that they live their lives. We think that wearables are a key to the MAHA agenda, making America healthy again. And we are going to, my vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
That's interesting for him to say. Not sure exactly what that means. Is this wearable going to be used to track people's health and send it to the government so they can do research? Definitely not something I would recommend anyone taking a part of. Seemed very vague. But moving on. Oh, this is just another post relating to that. We have a lot more, so I'll go ahead and skip over that one. I'll go ahead and read this one. This post definitely ruffled some feathers. This is a post from dark.fail. Zcash won the DEX arms race. It is now on 2 DEXs with greater than 1 million USD liquidity at Maya Protocol and at Near Protocol. Monero still has no DEX, minimal liquidity on atomic swaps, and has every LE crosshair in the world aimed at compromising it. I have lost faith in XMR. There were definitely some unfavorable responses to this post. One in particular, let's see if I can, I'm not logged in here, so I don't see all the posts that I saw before. Maybe it might have been quote tweets. This definitely ruffled some feathers with some people comparing Monero, or mentioning the fact that Monero has things like it has basic swap support and it has Rito swap, which has had quite a lot of liquidity. I don't really know anything about the Maya or Near protocol, so I don't know if it's even possible for them to add Monero. To my knowledge, these have Zcash in a transparent way, though, so it's not quite a fair comparison, comparing that directly to not like having XMR. So you can look in that post and do some more research on that further if you want. We'll be moving on. So this is kind of interesting. So last night, Asmongold, or this is posted by the Monero account. They said Asmongold. Asmongold mentions Monero. Let's go ahead and open this video here. I might have to actually watch this on youtube.com. Sorry, I got to open the proprietary youtube.com to watch this. Let's go ahead and play this section of this video here.
I don't care about investing. You know, I have my
cryptocurrency is very good for a number of things. And I think especially as like an international currency that's not regulated through like traditional markets, crypto is extremely useful. And I think that's really the main reason. Is that like something like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? It's great for illegal shit. It is that now they can backtrace crypto. They can backtrace it, and they can figure it out. There's a few of them that it's a lot harder to, like Monero, etc. But in general, they can figure it out if they really, really try. But it is a lot harder to do. Sure, XMR. Yeah, XMR is another one.
have kids and they.
Yeah, so you heard him from Asmongold himself, just talking about the traceability of cryptocurrency and mentioning Monero as being much, much harder to trace. And of course, this is nothing new or anything revolutionary, but he is a very, very large internet personality. So it's just interesting to see Monero being mentioned more in the larger mainstream with people who have very large followings. Next time, I think we will probably, at some point, we'll see PewDiePie talk about Monero. I feel it coming very soon. But moving on. Next up, we've got a post from GNU Keith. And the post reads, I love Proton. Their team is great, and they are really passionate about privacy. However, at this point, I feel like Monero should be supported. No matter how few people will actually use it, just give people the option, and if it isn't possible to do some legislation, be open and transparent about it. Also, Proton Wallet is so out of touch, it's unreal. They made a whole April Fool's joke about supporting, air quote, shitcoins, and they couldn't help themselves but to add Monero, which, by the way, is not a shitcoin. And this is a quote tweet from a post I posted yesterday, just once again asking, why doesn't Proton accept Monero by now? Is it because of pressure due to being an email provider? Clearly, the people want it. We've shown them in the past. Instead, they made some stupid Bitcoin wallet that nobody asked for, and as far as I know, nobody uses. I also, this is a quote tweet on a comment of myself, just telling them to stop LARPing and accept Monero. Sorry, I just kicked my microphone. There's potentially some reasons for this. I saw some comments, I think under this post. I'm using Knitter, so it's kind of hard to see everything. Mentioning the fact that because they're a Swedish company, they have to do some auditing, and it was already very hard for these auditing companies to allow them to accept Bitcoin. And so them being in, I guess, the jurisdiction they are, for whatever reason, it's harder for them to accept Monero. And also, they are an email provider, and they have a lot of pressure from the bigger email providers to prevent things like crime and spam from happening through their email service, so that they don't get blocked by like Gmail or by Outlook. So there's a lot of potential reasons for why they have decided not to accept Monero. It's not necessarily because they are feds. I see some people say that. There's a lot more going on, especially since they're become a decently large email provider. But at the same time, it is very tasteless of them, like Canoe Keith has said here, to come out with Proton Wallet, which was extremely out of touch because nobody asked for a wallet from Proton in the first place. And as far as I know, no one really uses it. No one really asked for the ability to send Bitcoin to people's email addresses. It was just kind of a weird thing that they did that kind of shows they had like external funding or something else to create this wallet. And they made a whole April Fool's joke about supporting shitcoins, which is just kind of also out of touch. There's a lot of people that have asked for Monero. There's thousands of votes on their user request forum for adding Monero support, for paying for their service, not even Monero on their Proton wallet. So it's just kind of an unfortunate situation. But it is what it is. Hopefully, we'll have an email provider at some point come out and sweep Proton under the rug that is good and will be able to accept Monero. But email is a hard thing. It's very old. It's archaic. It's a very controlled part of the internet, unfortunately. So that may or may not happen. Next up, we got a post from Val Venus. Are you looking for products sold in Japan? Pay in Monero and have your Japanese product sent directly to you, no matter where you are in the world. And so this is a quote tweet to a post from XMR Bazaar. I'll go ahead and open this post oh, wait, no, I can't because the tracking link is getting blocked. It's awesome. I'll just read it right here. This post reads, I'll buy anything for you from Tokyo for XMR. Any price, any item. I can ship to anywhere in the world, drop, meetup, etc. I charge 0.04 XMR fee and 20% of total value plus shipping. Willing to negotiate. And asterisk, nothing illegal. So this individual will purchase you something from Tokyo and ship it to you internationally. So if there's a particular game or anime thing that you want that is only in Japan, this individual may be able to facilitate ordering that for you and shipping it to you directly. Of course, as I said, nothing illegal. And there is a fee involved, but they are willing to negotiate. So that's a very cool service to have. And that is on xmrbazaar.com, and you can search for that on there. And now we are moving on to the Reddit news. So first post here, I'm going to zoom in. This is probably a little bit small. We've got a post now from Monero Fox on the r/Monero subreddit. Government institutions officially confirm the quality of Monero. And let's go ahead and open into this link from justice.gov. This is once again just talking about the serial hacker Intel broker charged for causing $25 million in damages to victims. Now let's go ahead and do a search. Oh, yep, Control F. There is one mentions of Monero. And I think this is just talking about the same case we talked about in the first post. Let's go ahead and read this excerpt that they clipped from the article of justice.gov. And it reads, he accepts payment via Monero, which is a cryptocurrency that uses a blockchain with privacy-enhancing technologies to attempt to obfuscate transactions and seek to achieve anonymity and fungibility. January 26, 2023, agent sent a private message via form requesting to purchase the victim data for $250 in Bitcoin, which is a cryptocurrency that does not have the same privacy-enhancing technologies as Monero. FBI personnel analyzed BTC transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. So basically, they have further confirmed the privacy and validity of Monero as a privacy coin and how they went out of their way to convince this individual to accept Bitcoin, which was their means to arresting him and finding out who he was. Ultimately, they were not able to do that through Monero. The only way they were able to do that was externally by having this individual accept Bitcoin and tracing the transactions, further proving that while Monero has some privacy enhancements that are needed, it's not totally untraceable. They weren't even able to use Monero as an avenue for figuring out who this guy was. They had to switch to something else, which just gives it more credence that even today it is still incredibly private and quite untraceable, to where even law enforcement and international cooperation between law enforcement and agencies, they still aren't able to, trace through Monero to figure out who someone is ultimately. They'll just try to convince them to use Bitcoin instead. So very interesting to see. And next up, we've got another post on r/Monero subreddit from SaltCup881. And this reads, update, XMR to Sol non-custodial swaps now in beta. Dynamic fees, real-time pricing, and your feedback was invaluable. Hey all, just wanted to thank everyone who engaged with my last post. The feedback was really helpful and we made solid progress as a result. We're now in beta testing for the non-custodial XMR to Sol swap engine at stealthxmr.io. Dynamic fees based on liquidity ranging from 0.8% and 2%. Real-time price feed from CoinMarketCap. Low slippage execution. Still no KYC, no logs, no wallet connections, no RPC reliance, just raw address input and output. We've implemented a lot from the community suggestions already. So this looks like a non-custodial XMR to Sol swap engine is what they're calling it. Let's see if I can go to this website. Looks like their SSL certificate is invalid. Looks like either this website is incorrect, the link is incorrect, or the website is actually down. I'm not sure if this is an atomic swap. It says it's a non-custodial swap engine, so I'm not exactly sure how that works, but looks interesting. And looks like someone else commented the same issue. Looks like there is a certificate issue on stealthxmr.io, so we might have to take a look at this sometime later, unless HTTP works. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll probably take a look at that later. Looks interesting. Looks like it's new. Not sure exactly how they're doing the swaps yet, but would like to see that later on. And next up, we've got another post on r/Monero from OrangeFriend, orangefriend.com. They're hosting a Bucharest meetup sponsored by WizardSwap.io and organized by orangefriend.com. With the help of WizardSwap and OrangeFriend, they're organizing a meetup in Bucharest, Romania next week on July 3rd, where it is in the Mindspace Business District, the Global Worth Campus A, Boulevardo. I'm not even going to try to read this street name. It is on the Reddit post. You can sign up on orangefriend.com, or you can sign up on the meetup.com link, and they will have free drinks, free snacks and drinks for attendees paid for by WizardSwap. So if you are in that area, or you want to meet some new people, you want to meet some like-minded individuals who like privacy coins and Monero, then feel free to sign up for that meetup in Bucharest, Romania. And lastly, we have one more post on r/Monero from Regular Inspection 69. And this reads, Monero sticker in Venice, Italy. So it looks like this person, assuming he didn't put it there himself, he found a Monero sticker in the wild in Venice, Italy. Looks like it has some wear on it. It's probably legit. So looks like somebody had been going around in Venice, Italy, and they've been tagging with some Monero stickers. Pretty cool to see. And let me just go ahead and do a check over the comments. Let's see if we got any super chats here. Looks like we got a couple. So Drunk Dial Me tipped US $2. I bet Monero Prepper is probably interested in this Argentina Prepper. Oh, yeah, interesting. Someone named Monero Prepper. Sounds like he might be. And Anon7 tipped, I think this was 0.001 XMR. Hi again. Please don't assume I'm Shortwave Surfer. He's not the only person in your audience with reasonable opinions. Oh, okay, all right. I'm just someone in Stockholm looking for XMR trades. I still don't know what that sense thing is, but you insist on mentioning. Well, I hope it makes you happy, Anon7, that I read your tip out as 0.001 XMR. So, and yes, it was maybe an idea you're Shortwave Surfer. I believe you if you say you're not Shortwave Surfer. Thank you for the super chat. Let's look if we had any other comments. No, I think that was it. Let me check the news links to make sure I got everything covered.
One more story hot off the press coming in. I
Uh-oh.
don't want to. I mean, I it's hard to resist. Actually, I was DM this yesterday by the lead dev of XMR Map. I don't know if you're familiar with that project, Tux. Are you familiar with the efforts of XMR Map?
I think I saw something about it. I didn't really look into it.
Yeah, so Maverick and team were trying to start a map project. Despite the fact that there's 2 maps that already exist, but beyond that, they were trying to start a map project. They did a Kuno. Maverick was talking like it's going to be the greatest Monero project of all time. Much more than a map, an everything app for Monero, solving all of our problems. It looks like the lead dev has left the project, so this just transpired last night, and then he just made this post today. So for those that want to learn all the juicy details, he just put up a very long post. I was just trying to read it now during the little news section over here. Basically, it looks like he's just saying that the team involved is not professional, and they were promising things that ultimately they wouldn't be able to deliver on, and it was just very hard for the lead dev to coordinate with others that were working on the project. And so, worse than that, but you could read all the details. So I don't know where XMR Map goes from here. He's telling people that they should request their donations back from the Kuno. Good luck with that. But saying at the very least, do not donate to any future Kunos performed by this team that's looking to fund XMR Map. So obviously, there's been a lot of drama with regards to Mav, and I really don't want to talk about any of that stuff because it's just we don't need the trolls to come out. But this just dropped. So yeah, do your own research. I recommend people check out this post by Zet. He was the one that was leading the project, and now he has left.
Okay, and what does this project supposed to do? Is it like
XMR Map.
Mm-hmm.
They were just trying to like another version of a Monero map.
Oh, I see.
But then it was, the vision was getting much larger than that, which I think is part of the problem with the project. They didn't have any clear direction. They were trying to become an everything solution for Monero, much more than just a map. Like I don't even know, like everything, like a wallet, a POS system. I don't know. They were trying to. It's kind of like Startup 101, right? You got to focus on one thing, do one thing well, listen to your customers, iterate, build, as opposed to raising money without even having something yet, promising the world before you even write a line of code, and just producing vaporware. So. We'll see what happens. I know there were probably some good people involved in the project. That's the problem with things like this. I personally have very little trust in Maverick. I think he's looking to do more harm than good for the Monero community. But I'm sure there's a lot of good people that got wrapped up in this, that were involved. I see, for example, the designer, what's his name, Giallo? He seems like a really good guy. He's done some really good things for the ecosystem. Yeah, Giallo, and he was doing their design. Very talented guy. I guess this Zet also got wrapped up into it. He was going to be their lead dev, and he would sound like he was bringing in his own resources, his own team of people to help with the project. So I think a lot of good people got involved, but you just got to be careful who you team up with on things like this. Here we're getting some information. It was a map using OpenStreetMap showing vendors accepting Monero. So obviously, Yeah, I mean, not a super novel idea, right? We have this integrated into XMR Bazaar. We had last week or the week before, we had the guys from France that have developed a pretty robust open street map for Monero and other cryptos. We were looking to team up with them with XMR Bazaar. So other solutions do exist. And it looks like they tried to really swing for the fences and were promising way more than what they could potentially deliver. Similar to BTC Map or whatever that name was. Yeah, exactly. And who knows? Maybe somebody picks it up from here. But the lead dev has left the project. That's all I got to say about that. I don't know, Tux, if you have anything you want to add to that.
No,
guess
I
you weren't-
didn't
You weren't
really.
even really in the know on that, huh?
No, I've been kind of like out of the loop for like a couple weeks. Just been traveling.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, they
But we
raised the Kuno like last week. They raised like 30 XMR. There was some drama, well, not drama with that, suspicion with that, because it was like, you know, like one or two accounts that sent most of the money that was raised. So curious as to whether or not it was actually like organic and people were really contributing, or if it just was to show appearances that people were contributing. But yeah, it looks like it has since fallen apart.